Okay, y'all, we back in the building with another episode of Check the Credits podcast, where we show respect, pay homage, and salute some people who sometimes don't get spotlights put on them, but they help make some of these records that you love behind the scenes, writing, producing, engineering, etc. And so today's episode, we have a guest, amazing guest. He's worked with the likes of Fat Joe, Nas, AZ, countless others. When I first got familiar with him and recognized him, where um, was he was working with uh, Black Moon, Helter Skelter, OGC, Cocoa Brothers, aka Smith and Wesson, was a member of the legendary production team, the Beatminers, along with Evil D, Mr. Walt. So today we gotta, show some love for the Grammy nominated, multi platinum producer BpZy, baby Paul's in the building, y'all. What's up, my brother?
Peace, and blessings. Salute to you, Chop Diesel. Salute to Check the Credits and everybody that's tuned in to the sound of our voices. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, cool. So I mentioned some names of some people you work with, but if you want to make people a little more familiar, you can let us know some of those records that you produced for some of those names.
Absolutely. I'm gonna start with my alma mater, the Beatminers. Shout out to Evil D, Mr. Walt. Shout out to Duck Down Records, Boot Camp Click. My career started on the first Smith and Wesson album, The Shining. You know what I'm saying? Produced Recognize, which was one of the singles, a song called Home Sweet Home, which actually inspired the album cover of the album. Because, if you look at the album cover, it's a recreation of a jazz album cover by the legendary Roy Ayers. He's coming, you know what I'm saying? And I also produced another song called Wipe Your Mouth, you know what I'm saying? So I contributed, ideas, but as far as actual producer credits, like just to my name, those are the three that I acknowledge. I assisted with Bucktown. It was like a collective between me, Evil D, and Mr. Wall. You know what I'm saying? And but it's like it was a family thing, so it wasn't like about picking and choosing which records we're gonna throw our names on. But the ones that I hands down did myself were the ones I just mentioned. So yeah, Smith and Wesson, The Shining was my beginning, and then as I continued to build my working relationship with the Beatminers, I went on to produce on Helter Skelter's first album, Nocturnal. I produced 5 songs on that album. I produced the single that everyone knows, La Fleur, La Fly, Sky, Rest in Peace, Sean Price. Uh, Another song called Let the Brains Blow. Another song called Therapy, featuring Vinia Mojica, who was known for featuring on songs with Tribe Called Quest. A song called Therapy. Then I produced another song called Soldiers Gone Psycho, Understand, and I think was one more. The title escapes my mind, but yeah, I did about 5 songs on that album. That was my coming of age, as a hip hop producer in the culture. Like Smith and Wesson's album was the opener for me as a part of the Beatminers, because I was always around, even going back to the first Black Moon album. But as far as seeing my name on the records, on the credits, Smith and Wesson, then Helter Skelter, and then Helter Skelter was like solidified me as being acknowledged for being a working hip hop producer for that time.
Got you, man. And I remember at the time, I used to be up at D&D a lot. I had a homeboy that was he was a night manager up there, Easy D.
I know Easy D.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
guy.
yeah. That's my
Oh,
man.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
How's he
yeah,
doing,
he
man?
good. He good. He in Jersey City. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's still
tell
in
him I tell
Jersey.
what's up. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he probably gonna see this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most def. So I remember them. That was a studio. That was definitely the studio at that time.
A lot of history in that studio. I wouldn't even know where to start. That would take up half this interview, but I would say that, rest in peace, Guru.
Yeah.
Shout out to the whole Gangstar Foundation. Shout out to Fat Gary, who I still keep in touch
Oh,
with and work
word,
with.
word, word.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to DJ Premier, J. Rue the Damager, Little Dap, Malachi, you know what I'm saying? Group Home, the whole Gangstar family, man. Big shit, you know what I mean? So it's like we were all just taking turns making classic records in that studio, man. Primo was in the B room, B9
Always.
was in the A room. And then I shot the Easy Mo B, he did some of the Lost Boys classic in the studio too. You know what I'm
Lex
saying?
Cooper's Beamers and the Benz was in there. I remember
Yes,
that
sir.
record in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And
Yes, sir. It's
kicking the
crazy.
door, man. There's a lot of records that come out of D
Yeah,
and D,
I
man.
watched Kicking the Door get made. I watched 10 classic, 10 Crack Commandments get made. Nas's light getting made. I watched Jay and them coming in and out of rooms doing those records. You know what I mean? I'm next door and we just in passing, just doing shit, you know what I mean? So I can honestly say I was a part of that history, man. It's a blessing.
Definite. Also I saw in your bio, going back, you was interning at Power Play.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
people that don't know, tell them
Yeah,
Power
a
Play
lot
is
of
that was
people
it. That was
yeah,
it.
yeah. Shout out to Power Play Studios, Long Island City. Shout out to DJ Teardrops, who actually took over that space. He's a DJ from out of Queens who was a part of a camp that me and my DJ partner, DJ Mr. Effects, is now pushing the envelope with Untouchables DJs. But yeah, Teardrops is a DJ, an engineer. He has a studio there. You know what I mean? But back then, it was the stop. It was the spot that like Eric B and Rakim made "Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em." KRS One made the Blueprint album. That's the first time I met D Nice, like early in his career. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of history coming out of that studio,
Yeah,
bro.
Power Play is the essential. If you want to go hip hop classic, golden era, golden
Mm,
age hip hop, that's that
yep.
BDP albums. That's that uh Criminal Minded. That's
Mhm,
that Eric B and Rakim. That's
mhm.
that true essence of hip hop. So
And definitely one of the most underrated hip hop albums to me ever made. Coogee Rap Wanted Dead or
oh
Alive.
my God, yeah,
That
definitely,
album is so crazy.
yeah,
That's why I
definitely.
first met Large
I
Professor,
was just
who I
about to
look
say Large Pro,
at as one of my
definite.
peers. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Large Pro. He was just in that mix back then. And shout out to Dr. Butcher. You know what I'm saying? Who was a DJ for G Rap, which was one of my friends from Corona, Queens, and he was one who used to have me come to the studio hanging out with him. And that's how I started building my relationship and interning at the studio. You know what I'm saying?
Got you. So I always associated you with Brooklyn due to the Beatminers and Black Moon and all that. So you got some Queens history too, I
Oh
guess.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Born in Harlem, raised in Brooklyn and Queens. I was in my college days. I was interning at Power Play, and then working a job, and then I relocated to like East Flatbush, and at that time, that's when I really started. I had met Walt in Queens because he was running the Music Factory, which is a record store.
I
And
was about to say I remember him from the record store. Didn't he work in the record
right,
store downtown too? Did he work in?
uh, not that I know of. I know he was doing Music Factory in Queens, but
Okay.
that's not to say that he didn't, run any other stores.
Got
But I
you.
probably wasn't aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
But
Got you.
we built our friendship from when he was working in Jamaica, Queens at the Music Factory,
Okay.
and and then at some point I relocated to East Flatbush, and I was renting out a house in like 52nd Church in Linden, and the rest is history. I used to go to Walt's house in like borderline Bushwick, borderline Ridgewood, Queens, and they was demoing up Black Moon. Shout to Chuck Chillout, who put out that first Who Got the Price record.
Nervous Records. Yeah,
Yeah,
Chuck Chill Out. I
yeah,
remember
and
that
the rest is
office.
history. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
remember that. So I mean, tapping into you saying contributing ideas and different
Mhm.
things. So just going, we're gonna be moving around different topics, but I just want to get
Yeah,
your
for
take
sure.
on this. Um, I know that's not. I mean, some people would consider it ghost producing. I hate the
Right.
term, right? But
I know.
ghost
I know.
producing.
I
Um,
know.
what's your take and what's your? I have my definition what I consider ghost producing. But what's
Mhm.
your definition and your take on ghost production, ghost
I'm
producing?
gonna answer that question, but because we was on the subject of contributing ideas going back as far as the Black Moon, that was such a sample driven era.
Mm-hmm.
So contributing ideas meant I could have a record with a sample idea.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And if I didn't actually physically sample it, put it in a drum machine, loop it up, put drums to it, program it, sequence and arrange it, that takes away some of the production credibility from me if I just share, yo, this loop is crazy. Fuck with it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And make something out of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't fully say I produce certain records. I
Got you.
share ideas.
Got you.
And that was kind of what it was like being a part of a collective. Sometimes you might share an idea, or somebody be like, "Yo, you got that such and such record, right? Let me borrow that record." And then that's how some hip hop records was made back then. And we all shared the energy. We always passed ideas to each other. But in today's times, you gotta be able to get behind some equipment and put these ideas
Together.
together
Yeah.
to get the credibility of being a hip hop producer. In my opinion, I think It's a little bit of both. Like there's beat makers and there's producers.
Definite.
And some the cats who put together dope beats, but they don't know how to make a record.
Exactly.
Meaning that they wouldn't know how to put someone. You need a hook, and you get a songwriter to develop it, make sure their vocals fit the music, arrange it, make sure their tone is right, make sure the
Exactly.
vocals is mixed right.
Exactly.
Then find an artist that fits the music and the creative direction of the song based on just the chorus being developed for the music, and then present it to the right artist that it's going to fit,
Definite.
and place that record. Then once you get them on the record, so now you got the artist and the chorus put together, you got to get in the studio, vocal produce it, arrange it, mix it, do the drops, automation, the sonics of the record with the engineer. That's producing a record.
There you go.
Having a trained ear to be able to do all that and having the insight and the imagination from start to finish to execute that.
There you go.
I graduated from being a beat maker to a producer from the Beatminers days to now. You know,
Definite. Definite.
I knew how to make a beat back then, but I learned how to be a producer through the course of my tenure. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Most
That
definite.
I can give myself credibility for the hard work I put in. Sometimes these kids, unfortunately, today they get spoiled by the technology and having access to some software and making a beat and be like, I produced it. But that's just the beginning part. You know what I mean? Until you can
Definite.
see a whole record through completely on your own, you got to be mindful and respect people and respect the architects who might be able to help you make that execution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
That's definite. I felt the same way. I started out in my production journey, and I was making songs, and I know I had a background, and I was an artist before, and we produced our own music and did things of that nature. But
right.
it wasn't until I came across, and I know you know him, Do Damian Blatton, who was
It's
my
my guy. Dio is
that's
my
yeah,
mentor.
exactly, and
Man, shout out to Dio. That's probably the one man that was responsible for both of our records
yes,
on
sir,
ACM. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
sir.
You know what I'm saying? Dio is my mentor too, man. Shout out to
Yeah.
Dio, man.
And Do, he when we was working with AZ, we was working with Ali Vegas, and I remember they would come to the studio and I'd do the records. I'd be in there producing it, but he might just come in and be like, "Nah, change this word to that word, or change
Mhm.
this phrase, or in the beginning when we was doing these records, sometimes his name would go in the records, and at first I was kind of like, oh, he bugging. How you gonna put his name on it? But technically, he was in the studio. I mean, that's one thing I can say about him as being an executive, being a manager. He was in the studio for the entire process. He
Process,
wasn't
yeah.
nobody dropping artists off and leaving. He was there
Mm.
for the
Mhm.
entire process. And I picked
Mhm.
up and learned so many little tidbits of just the right tone, like you said, the right tone, the right texture
Mhm.
of voices. Now rappers are all melodic, so you have to get them in key. But back then,
Absolutely.
they were rapping with a cadence, so to speak. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But it wasn't necessarily so melodic. But you still
Mhm.
had to understand the tones and the frequencies of their voices to make sure it matched. And he'll be like, "Oh, that's not the right beat." I'm looking at him like, "You
Mhm.
crazy? That's crazy."
Mhm.
But he could pick that and see that. And over time,
Yeah.
working and learning, I picked up those
Experience,
things the same
you
way.
build
Yeah,
right, you build a trained ear, and it's
yeah,
like you said, when it was more about lyricism and cadences and flows and enunciation and how you said
hmm
certain words, you had to have that ear to help an artist who's still learning how to do that execute it.
exactly,
And even
exactly.
if an artist was seasoned and they felt like they had it covered, it's your job to have an ear be like, nah, you got to
Nah,
take that over.
there you
Your
go.
breath, you had your breath control was off. You was breathing too hard, or you was running out of breath on that line, or you know what I mean. You got to catch all that.
Most
You know,
definite.
that's our job. You know what I mean?
100%. And again, sometimes I don't know if it was by design. I don't know if it's for the business. I don't know if it's for the financial part of it. It kind of felt like they started to remove the actual producer out of the equation. You know what I mean? I remember a time where it just
I
went
agree.
from not needing us in the studio. We was getting flown out everywhere. We was going to every studio. We in Cali. We here. We there. To the point it
Mm-hmm.
was just send the files, send the
Mm-hmm.
files. And then I think
Yeah.
when I got back the record, and I'm going, well, I don't like that, or I think they could have did the hook better, or the second verse should be the first verse. But we
Mm-hmm.
had no control and it was like. For me, that's where I started to have a little disdain and like kind of falling back. I was
I
like, I
agree.
want my own artists. I want my own situations. I want to
I
be able
agree.
to kind of be able to paint the picture. And I think it also puts a divide between the art. I saw a video the other day on, I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram, and it was a artist saying that he doesn't feel that a producer should get 50% of a record.
Wow.
I
Let
said,
me let me share. Finish you saying. I'm gonna share a quick
yeah.
story.
He said, yeah, the producer shouldn't get 50% of the record because all he did is the music. And again, it could be a scenario where he just provided the beat, but he's saying,
Mhm.
I shot the video, I marketed, I promoted, I paid for this, I paid for that. And I'm going, okay, but you didn't
You
pay for
can't
an
have
acapella
none
song. Yeah, like it's still in terms of the writing of the song, which
actual
people,
composition,
yeah,
right?
in terms of the writing of the song, music and lyrics and melody, that was the partnership. So
Hmm.
that should be somewhere along the lines. He's like, I don't feel art the most I'd pay a producer, and he's saying it like he's paying us. Like
Like
you
you
know,
doing us a favor.
yeah, like the most I'll pay a producer is maybe 20%, maybe.
And this is recent, like within the last few years, right?
This is
This
the
artist.
last few months I just saw this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm gonna say. One, a lot of that is to blame on the technology and the gradual change of how music is consumed
Mm-hmm.
as well as how it's created. With technology, some people got spoiled. They feel like, that's how you remove people from being hands-on
Yep.
in the creative process. Oh, I'm in California. Just send me the music. I'm gonna go record it myself. A lot of times in our career, and I'm sure you agree, even going back to when we both worked on AZ's album, we got an upfront deposit.
Oh Lord.
Someone
Yeah.
decided they want to produce us to produce a record, right?
Yes.
Now people get an instrumental and they'll go in the studio and make the whole song without you, and then call you, yo, I'm using your track when you work out the business.
Yeah.
And I remember when this almost happened to me with DJ Clue. Shout out to DJ Clue. I worked on his last album with Rockefeller, Professional Part 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got the call. Well, actually, I ran into Clue in a club, and he was like, "Yo, I'm using one of your beats. Da 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 da. I'm gonna holler at you when I'm gonna hit the studio." I was like, "All right, no problem, cool." A little time go by, and then one of the people that was consulting me at the time, quote unquote, acting as like a consulting manager, I guess they were in touch with Clue and found out he was hitting the studio about my record. So I was like, "Cool, let me know when I'm gonna be there." You know what I mean? So when I get there, vocals is almost there, but and I automatically listen. I give my input, and I said, "Look, let me know when y'all trying to mix this. I want to mix the record." And he was like, "Nah, you don't got to do all that. I got to cover." I said, "No, I want to mix my record."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said it with a serious tone, and Clue was like, "All right, no doubt. I respect that." You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Duro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone Duro was gonna be there because Duro and I already had a relationship. He engineered a lot of records early in my career, going back to the Duck Down days. So,
Okay. Okay.
so I got the call at the studio they was doing all their work out of. I went in and I mixed the record. And this happened to be a record with Fat Joe and Remy called
Wow.
"You Don't Really Wanna" that was on that last Clue album, Professional Part 3. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And I remember after the record was done, he was like, "Yo, this is on fire. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying." Because I heard certain things because I made the music how
Exactly.
I could make it better and accompany the vocals a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So by the time he's wrapping up the song and formatting the songs for the actual project, he does a tag. Fat shout, baby Paul. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
made sure to put it as the song is going off. So when you listen to the album, if you didn't see the credits, my name is acknowledged as the song goes off.
There you
So
go.
that's how you earn people's respect in this business, man. Because otherwise, like you said, people are going to treat you like, well, you just did the music. You ain't do nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. When
Yeah,
even just doing the music should give you a little more credit. It's like I said, oh, you just wrote the rap, so you just did the hook. Like
yeah,
that's
now
crazy.
let's see
Like,
how they feel when
yeah,
we do that, right?
yeah, you know what I mean. So also I wanted to know. Well, you kind of gave me your take on it, so I know you prefer to be in the studio. I was going to ask, what do you prefer, sending records off or actually being in a the creative
I
process?
prefer to be in a session with an artist, but I understand the times they're in. I don't necessarily agree with it,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna completely ruin an opportunity by being so demanding about my hands-on appearance. For example, I'm overseeing the legendary female rapper Monie Love's project, which we'll get
Okay.
to later. But as an example, she's in Atlanta, I'm in New York. So in some instances, I'll send her ideas, and if I can't physically be in the studio with her, I'll at least know the schedule, know when she's in the studio, correspond, maybe do a FaceTime, communicate with the engineer, do what I can from a distance. You know what I mean? To still have my input until I can physically be there.
Yeah.
And I've also gone down there and worked with her too in person. So I try to do a little bit of both. to manage the time between us because of scheduling and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, even
Mhm.
with that, I still you're part of the process. I'm saying like
Absolutely.
nowadays, sometimes they don't even want you. They want the beat and they don't even want to talk. They don't want to know nothing. Some
Yeah, it's
artists are that
crazy.
way, some labels are that way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
so I look at that as kind of a downside. You know, I work with a lot of newer artists, and I try to give them that game and show them the importance of, you know, having people a part of the process. Like I've worked on records, like I said, and I got the record back and was like, this is horrible. But it was so but I mean it's bro, it's records that can't and I love A to death, right? I did a record with A on I guess it's Asiatic. Just want to be there. And
Mhm.
the song, don't get me wrong,
That's my
I
favorite
love
record
that.
on the album.
I love that song.
Salute. I meant to tell you
I
that.
appreciate that.
That record, when I'm driving, the way the vocal sample is and the singer you put on top of it, singing the chorus, that song is a vibe. And I can honestly say you brought something out of AZ that he doesn't always often do. He was telling his life story,
but
relationship
but
situation.
guess what? When we sat down, we did it at Sugar Hill. You know, we was over there. Y'all did. I think did the Essence over there, right?
Yeah,
I
last
got
song
I got a story
before the
about that. I
Kisses.
got a story about that too. But hold
Way
on.
less, me too.
All right. So we sitting there, we playing the beat because he used to come to my studio and record in Jersey, and then we went
Mhm.
out, we went to Sugar Hill, we did that record, and but before we did it, we just playing the beat. I want to say Dio brought Miss Jones originally
Mm,
to sing on it, but you know she was kind of out of the music at that time. She had been doing radio. It wasn't clicking. So
right,
I forgot homegirl's name, but she was dope.
right.
She was like a songwriter and a referencing.
Mhm,
She was doing a lot of stuff at the time. This other girl that was there, so we put her in. She did it. We sat there, we was talking, and I always said to him, I feel like he's supposed to be there, like with the greats. He should be there with the Nas's, with the Jay-Z's, with the, you
mhm.
know, he from that lineage, he's from that era. And some
Absolutely.
credit in terms of his skill set and his ability, people give him his props, but I always felt like he was slighted a little bit. Like I felt like he should have
Mhm,
came up in that same era. So the
mhm.
concept of the song originally was I just want to be like mentioned with the greats. Like we
Right.
always would tell him, like, yo, you gotta speak, people love you.
Keep that into existence.
You gotta talk about like people gotta get to your personality. They gotta know what you feel. I said people love Tupac not because he's the greatest rapper realistically, but you feel him. You know his story. You
Mhm,
know what he stands for, what he represents.
mhm,
We get pieces of that with you with A, but he wouldn't really
mhm.
do it. So when we stopped, sat down, everybody was like, okay, this is what it is. This is when I remember never leave the studio. So I left. We left to go get something to eat, let him write. I came back. First verse was done. But the first verse is going there. He's going
Mhm,
in the direction. I'm like, okay, he gonna do it.
mhm.
Second verse. It was again, the song still is a great song and I still love
Yeah.
it. But what I envisioned when we sat down, it was like, but again, we was part of that process. So I wasn't totally, I was still happy with the outcome, but I felt
Yeah.
like that could have been one of those defining records. That could have been a
But I
record
love
that,
that hook.
yeah.
"Don't bring me flowers when I'm gone." That's crazy. And the music is a vibe and the bounce, the bam, 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 bam. That's I'll drive to that in my truck to this day and
Now,
catch a vibe. So
let
salute to
let
you, kid.
thanks. I appreciate that. But let me tell you about that Essence record, man.
Mm,
Dio calls us. Get
mhm.
over to Sugar Hill, Nas and AZ's. It's like a Sunday, I think, right?
Yeah,
Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday, I
Yes.
remember.
Get over to that studio. You better have something, because at the time he managing us. So it's like,
Mhm,
you better have something. Nas is there. You're gonna be able to play the beat, boom, boom.
mhm.
Bro, I'm trying to piece stuff together. We ain't had, and it's four of us in the team. We trying to bring the best beat ever in life for him to do.
Right.
Bro, by the time we get ready to get on the road, he was like, scratch it. Baby Paul came over here and smashed y'all. I was like, oh.
Oh, that's crazy.
So he would do stuff like that, and we would think he was just like, because he's done it in the past, and then we still went, and then he just psyched us out, and then
Yo,
we
that's
got there.
crazy. I never knew that. Shout out to Dio,
Yeah,
man.
he's like, yeah, nah, yeah, too late.
He's so competitive.
Yeah, he was like, it's too
not
late.
funny.
It's too late. Yeah, don't even go. I'm like, what? He don't go. I'm going.
Yo, I feel honored, but at the same time, I feel bad. I stole an opportunity from you,
Nah,
bro.
bro, you
This
did
is
what you
beautiful.
did.
This is
That's
a
why
beautiful conversation,
I
man.
snuck back and I say, give me them acapellas, man. And I did they use it. A might have used it on like a little like a It might have been a white label or something later on, and I
There's a
chopped up
couple
the
remixes that I've heard on
yeah.
the internet.
I
You probably did one of them.
Yeah, I chopped up the this had to be 02, 01. I did Piece of My Love by Guy.
Okay, okay,
I chopped
nice.
that up, freaked that, put it in there, and we dropped it. And
I
I was
gotta
like,
listen out. I'm gonna go Google
yeah,
Analytics.
it's
I got
online.
it.
It's on a few DJ
I'm gonna download it,
mixtapes.
put it in my Serato craze
But yeah,
just
it
to
hurt
show
my
that
heart.
love.
But the version that
Blessings.
came out was that shit was
I'm gonna
crazy.
tell you a funny story. So when I made the beat, did on MPC 2000. You know how back then you used to, once you make a beat, you record it to DAT, like a DAT tape,
Mm-hmm.
archive it as another track before you burn it on a CD. So I literally was running the beat after, hit play on the machine, running it, recording it, and I'm talking to my man, and I look over and I don't see the record levels up. And it's playing. I said, "Oh shit, I'm not recording." So I just turned the record level up on the DAT.
I remember that. I remember that.
And the beat's fading in. So when I'm laying it down, I said to him, "Yo, I gotta program the intro. There's an intro." But he's like, "Nah, leave that shit. That shit hot." So that's why the record fades in and they just start talking. Hey, yo, God, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yo,
You know what I
and
mean?
I'm gonna go on record for saying this because I really believe he is. Dio is
Mhm.
the first person to 2-track a record. I believe.
Yeah.
I've never, we did mad records at Eddie F House at Sugar Hill where
Mhm.
he would get the beat. He like, nah, just 2-track it. And then later on, he would, depending on who, I mean, he would take care of the producer and get everybody paid and
Mhm.
make sure everything was everything. But sometimes he'd be like, it don't sound the same. And which is the
Right.
truth. A
You
lot
don't
of
want to
records,
have to get the multis and then mix the beat over and it's not matching the vibe of the reference subject. But where's Trackmasters? Do you keep in touch with Polka Tone? Nobody. I
nah,
was just talking to my
I
homies
used
about
to be
that.
in touch with Poke more so. I have a closer bond with Poke than Tone, but
Mhm.
um, it's been years. I mean, I'm talking
Like
about
they just
probably
literally fell off the face of the earth. And unless there's again, we can't read credits to everything that's out these days because of the way the internet is. You got to literally go to Spotify and try to find out who produced what. But I haven't heard nothing about Trackmasters putting out anything that or
yeah,
even
nah. The
producing.
last time I even seen them like surface online was when there was talks about them doing the verses with Jermaine Dupri.
I'm sure they still getting that good. They still getting it. So
Oh no, they good. That's why
yeah.
I said I would want to be if I reach the highest of heights as a producer. I love their career in the sense that right
Mhm,
now Tony Polk could walk anywhere. They sitting
mhm.
on money still to this day. They still got
Right,
millions, but they could go
right,
anywhere and nobody even know who they are. I
right,
would
right,
love that. I was like I
right.
couldn't be Timberland or somebody where I can't go anywhere when I want to
It's
go.
it's it's weird because like producers like yourself and myself, we've put in the work. We have credits that people know. We have names that some people know, some people
Mhm.
don't. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I kind of, and I've been told this by my peers and some of my good friends, like my boy DJ Mr. Effects, who's in the building.
All
I'm gonna
right.
have him chop it up with you in a
All right.
second.
All
But
right.
um, I'm always like one step away from being like superstar producer, and I shy away from it. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I just want to do the work. The fame kind of like because I've watched Kanye blow up to where he's at, and
Mm-hmm.
he was on quote unquote our level at one point, just behind the
Exactly.
scenes
Exactly.
producing. I remember that Kanye, and
Yeah.
when I see him now, and I see what he's going through, and I even think of the times I've crossed paths with him on those levels of superstar. Like
Yeah.
the last two times I seen him and had a conversation. One was when he was on the Glow in the Dark tour. I saw him in Atlanta. It was, Kanye, Rihanna, NERD on the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Brown was there. You know what I'm saying? I met Pharrell there for the first time. I saw how he was then compared to just the producer behind the scenes days. Then
Mm-hmm.
the next time I saw him after that uh, was when he did the Pablo tour. And shout out to Consequence, my homie from Queens. He got me some tickets. I was in the Midwest at the time, and he got me some tickets, comped them to catch the tour, and I caught up with him
Dope, dope,
backstage. You know
dope,
what I'm
dope.
saying? And that was right before Kim got robbed. That
Oh yeah,
tour,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right before she got robbed. So I caught that concert before that tour got canceled. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Yeah,
And yeah, and those are definitely different periods of Kanye and different mental states and
absolutely. Like
different.
kind of like the documentary. There's different periods of Kanye. And I don't want to be that. I understand and love the success. Of course, I would love to have the money, but I don't want those pressures. Like not knowing who your friends are,
There you go.
crazy dynamics with family and women.
There
Like,
you go.
I don't want that. I don't like. I love making music, but I shy away from the other bullshit that come with it. You know what I mean?
Definite. And
But
that's
that's me. To each his own.
yeah, most definite. A lot of the artists, I mean, some artists they built for it, they made for it, producers as well, and they
Mhm.
want it. But I always try to just keep any artist I talk to, I just try to really implant in their heads because one thing, it's weird because we love it, we want to be in it, but there's a lot of wickedness and a lot of demonic stuff that come along with. And I ain't on no
Mhm.
conspiracy theory. I'm just saying, just
Nah,
like
it's just
the
true.
morals and principles. Like I always say when people talk about selling your soul, it's not like to the extent that they make it seem. But anything
Mhm.
you do that compromises your integrity or your principles, you selling your soul. That's it.
Absolutely.
So
That's
it's a
it.
lot of things that will tempt you, and it's
Mhm.
easy, especially you're a young kid. You coming
Mhm.
into a game, you getting offered money and opportunities you've never seen before in your life. It's easy to
Mhm.
trade that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's easy. So I always
Mhm.
try to instill in them and let them know, really have your
Don't lose
spirit
yourself
guarded.
in this.
Yeah, and
Right.
don't lose yourself. Have your spirit guarded. Because if you
Mhm.
don't, we've all in some sort of way have compromised our integrity with doing whatever we did. Whether it's, like I said, just doing business or making a decision that you
Mhm.
just did basically for the money. You didn't you was like,
Mhm.
I need this bread, I'm gonna just boom, boom, boom.
Right.
You know what I mean? But as you
Being in this business behind the scenes, you already know, chap.
yeah,
Come
being
on, man. Like,
but as you
sleep on
grow, you want to
it.
know, hey, bro,
Right.
you want to be able to sleep at night. You want to have integrity. You want to be a man or woman of principle.
Mhm.
As you carry and conducting your business, and I still feel like that goes a longer way. I don't care what people have, millions of dollars, diamonds, big
Mhm.
cars, plaques,
Mhm.
all this stuff. I know some of that stuff. There's an exchange that I'm not willing to exchange. You
Right.
feel
And
me?
I think that's my biggest battle. Just adding to what you said is balancing my artistic integrity with commercial success.
Hey, yep,
And my circles at times is my checks and balances when I'm starting to lean towards I know I could do this. I could get some bread off this. And it's like, wait a minute, still baby Paul.
yeah.
People
There
love
you go. There you go. There you
they
go.
respect what you do. You've made some classics. Don't lose yourself
There you
for that
go.
bread.
There you go.
And that's my wake up call. Like,
Yeah, that's
nah, I
it.
can't.
That's it in a nutshell. That's it in
Yeah,
a nutshell.
yeah.
Uh, what are some of your like favorite? I know we from an era, so I know some of them off the top. But what are
Right.
some of your favorite? Well, let me start here. Hardware versus software. Where you
Wow.
stand?
Okay. As far as I love hardware for drum machines, like I want to get back into collecting hardware. Like I a lot of people probably cursed me out in this video, but I sold my SP1200 at one point when I wanted to upgrade.
Yeah,
People like to keep those vintage items.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Shout out to Just Blaze. I follow him online. I love how he be collecting.
yeah,
He recently got a Lindrum, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Customized Lindrum. Like collecting certain vintage pieces, you know what I'm saying? I want to go back to that. And like my favorite, like the machines I've used throughout my career besides the 1200 that are always a favorite, the 2000, the 3000. I was actually about to order a Renaissance because I was using it and in the studio, and I said, let me just get it anyway. Even though you got other options now, you got the MPC Studio, you got
Mm,
I think it's the one,
the
if I'm
one,
not mistaken.
yeah, the live,
Yeah,
the
like
one,
my
yeah.
engineer uses that. Shout out to my man Prime, and I got the studio in the house, like one of the portable ones.
Got you, yeah.
You know what I mean? I've used it off and on, but I don't know. I have this psychology about big drum machines. It's fucking weird, bro. I've hooked this up and I've used it a couple times here at the
Yeah,
crib. You know what? Let me just put a couple more items back in the crib because
yeah.
usually now I work in the studio as opposed to working on beats at the crib. So
Got you. I've never really been able to make music, like create beats and stuff in a
mhm,
studio, like in a big. I think I
mhm.
started out in more of an intimate setting, and that's the only way I can productively create. I could create songs and music and records, but I can't make a beat. We used to go to Eddie F's studio he had in his house, and he
Yeah,
had
I've been
everything.
there.
Yeah, he had
Dope, dope spot.
everything you could possibly use,
Yeah,
every
like a
keyboard,
candy
every
shop for
yeah.
producers.
So it was like I was like, this is too much. I couldn't. We worked on a remix for ironically, it was a song that I think Eddie had for a compilation, and it had Biggie, it had Grand Poobah, Biggie. I think it was called "Let's Get It On." But they was trying
Yep,
to
I
make a
remember that record.
they was trying to make a song because they both had Biggie and Tupac on it. So they were trying
Mm,
to recreate a song, and they brought us there to work on it, but they wouldn't give us the vocals, so we had to do it everything at the studio. And
mm.
I just for some reason I couldn't. We came up with some ideas, but it was nothing like what I make when I just roll over out the bed and get up and start working on. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you.
It wasn't that. I've never been really able to do it that way. And
For me, I think it's a synergy, meaning that if I'm in a room with someone that's in tune with me, that like, if they got the gear that I can use and they're a
mhm,
good engineer and they have a good ear and they follow my directions, I can literally make something from scratch right in the studio.
mm,
You know what I mean? But I understand, creating when your personal space,
yeah,
when you feel to create, because a lot of people don't understand making music is spiritual. You have to
yes,
feel it. You
yes.
can't just like punching the clock, 9 a.m. Okay, you make a beat. No, I don't work like that.
I'm making 20 beats today. I'm making five. Man, if I made
Yeah.
20 beats in one day,
Mhm.
somebody come salute me and give me all kind of praises because there's no
I
way.
gotta feel it.
I gotta
Yeah,
live life too to
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
I gotta go out. I gotta mix and mingle for that to even set and work for me.
Mhm,
I can't really
mhm.
operate like
And I
that.
gotta be inspired. I gotta like listen to some stuff and
Exactly.
ideas just come to me. Like you know how a whole beat will come together in your mind before you actually manifest it. Like
Hmm.
whether it's a sample, the drum sounds you're gonna put with the sample, how you're gonna sequence it, all of that. And then as you lay that foundation, then you build as you go along to add like layers of
Definitely.
instrumentation, chorus section, blah blah blah. You know.
Okay, now that we speaking on that, we from an era. So I think I know your answer. But
hmm
what do you prefer? Samples, interpolations versus like completely original creation?
You know what's so funny? I come from that era of sampling, but I think as I've grown producing records and understanding a couple things, the business of music, where
Mm,
giving up some shares of your publishing,
yeah,
and all of that, because we both come from that. So there's classics we made where we probably not eating off the performance royalties on
at
the back
all.
end
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah, yep.
So I've learned how to balance it. There's some records I like to make that's completely like it could be inspired from a record, but I literally played
Play
it,
it all. Yeah,
changed the melodies, and stuff like that. And then in other instances, I love my samples, man. Like, and it depends on the artist too. Like if I'm working with a lot of times it's gonna be something sample driven.
yeah,
There's chops and a vibe. You know what I
yep,
mean? That's his thing. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And he's made records without it being sample driven, but his greatest records ever made are samples, just
yeah,
like with Nas. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yep.
So I try to find that balance. I think with newer artists, I'm more into composing because I meet that challenge. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So again, we from an era where we were just talking about getting our first halves before we even set foot in
Right,
the studio. What
right.
do you prefer, major label placements versus independent placements?
That's a good question. Of course, major label placements is great because of the notoriety and the credibility, and of course the money. But then, if you don't control the narrative of that, you can have a dope placement on a really big artist's album, and it don't get marketed as a single. So you're just eating off being a part of it.
Mm.
So much of that you can get away with. Like I've been on albums where I didn't have a single, but I won the album, so I still got a gold record. I
Yeah,
still got recognized for what I contributed, but it didn't really necessarily advance my career. So what I
exactly.
like about the independent aspect is being able to control the narrative. I produced it, I control how it's put out, presented, video, how it's marketed.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's my name's attached and you discover that record and you love that record, it comes back to me like, oh, he was behind it. I
Yeah,
need to work with him. You know what I mean?
definite,
So in
definite.
that instance, I would take the independent aspect over the major because I know what it's like to make money from releases on a major label. I know what those performance royalties look like. I know what the back end for record companies look like, and a lot of people don't know that sometimes even if an album goes gold or platinum, you still wait years. I'm sure you've probably been through
Oh
that
yeah,
in your residual income from
yeah,
record sales. I'm not talking about publishing, being my
yeah,
ass,
yeah,
I'm talking about
yeah.
record
Physical
sales.
record sales. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And then the digital age and the transition of how music is sold compared to then plays a part too. Because now you got millions of streams
yeah.
just to see some money. You know what I'm saying?
And that's something else too that
Sometimes hundreds of millions of streams. Yeah.
yeah, I saw I was trying to explain to a producer that I've been working with and kind of grooming, and I was telling him like in our era how we could, like you just said, we could produce on an album. Like I had a big situation behind not really understanding how that worked. Like working on even on AZ's album, I thought
hmm
when we got paid our advance, that was it. I
hmm
didn't even really know because again, I did have a single, but it wasn't like a major, big, gigantic single off there.
Mhm,
So I
mhm,
didn't think I was even getting any more money. I didn't know that
mhm,
money was still being generated, and because I had a certain amount of records on that album, I would
mhm,
still make money. Whereas today, somebody's album can go gold and platinum off for 3 songs, and
mhm,
because they're basing it on a equivalent concept. It's not
mhm.
actually somebody bought a million physical copies of that album. So
Right.
whereas we would at least benefit being on a gold and platinum album because you're going to generate residuals because they're going to break it down based on how many songs on there. These artists
Mhm,
today, if you're not a part of the batch that made it sell or made it stream, you just getting a plat when when they go platinum. So that part of it, I'm like, whoa. So I try to tell
yeah.
them, I'm like, bro, if you want to work with these artists and be on these albums and be on these projects, really try to shoot for when you submitting these records or you getting with the artists, try to have the single. Come up with
Mhm,
something that's not gonna sound like nothing else they could possibly think of. That way you got a greater shot. If your song
mhm,
sounds again good, it gotta still be good sonically, but if it sounds
mhm.
a lot different than what everybody's feeding them, they're gonna 9 times out of 10 go toward that and look at you like, okay, this guy. That's how a person like Timberland or anybody got
Mhm.
on albums because their sound was so distinct and so unique to
Mhm.
nobody can mimic that. Every
Right,
producer that's out right now, for the most part, their sound can be mimicked. Everybody can do the same exact thing.
right,
There's no set
right.
sound that'll make you stand out. So when
Mhm.
people do hear them, when you do hear those records that come across and they kind of like, oh, what's that? Even if you listen to a what's the girl, Glorilla,
Mhm.
the record itself stands out. It doesn't sound like everything else, even though it's in a pocket of other things. It
It's
still
kinda
has,
simple, but it works,
yeah, and it
you know?
has its own sound. It has its own
Mhm.
sonic, so it's gonna easily stand out. When Cardi did Bodak Yellow, there's no, I mean, what's the cadence she borrowed from Kodak Black, but the sonics of the entire record was something that just stood out different. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely, I
I
agree.
think that's
Like,
the
just being a
that's
commodity to a body of work as a
exactly
producer makes the difference.
that's it.
I wanna say something before I lose my train of
Go ahead,
thought.
go ahead, go
In
ahead.
case you didn't know, because we're both on that Asiatic album, you know it's gold now, right?
I just saw it, and I was about to say somebody owed me a plaque.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if Motown Universal is gonna issue
no,
it,
I know
but
that. I gotta buy it.
off the
I'm
record,
yeah,
I'll give you a link to a way to do it through the RIAA.
yeah.
But
I
we both
did.
gotta get that gold record for
Yeah, I
Asiatic,
need
man. You
that. I
earned that.
need that. It's a few plaques I didn't get. They've been holding me. I've been trying to get this platinum plaque off this LL album. They telling me, oh, it's not platinum, but everywhere I see it is platinum.
I guarantee you, you can research it. It's probably
Yeah.
certified. Which one?
10, the album that had Love You Better
No,
on it. Yeah. So
no,
we got the
no,
gold
no.
plaque, but I've been trying to get the platinum. I got a Dave Hollis. It's a few plaques. And to be
Yeah.
honest, during that time period, bro, I was just so happy to be doing the music and working with people that I loved and grew up on watching
Mhm,
and being around. I
mhm.
didn't even care. I wasn't even
Right.
like trying to get, I was like, my plaque is I'm sitting here with LL Cool J. That's my plaque. I'm in the studio with Diddy. I don't care about
Yeah.
no plaque. I was so happy, not really showing them how happy I was, but inside, oh my God, I was like a kid in a
And it's
candy
funny,
store.
the plaques is our awards. It's our memorabilia. So when all of this is over, that stuff
Mm-hmm.
back at like that for me, my plaques are like collector's pieces.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
why I said I'm going
Remind me of
back
the
and
albums I worked on.
I'm going to get everything. I'm going
Yeah.
back. I'm
We
going back
gotta
to
get
get
that
everything.
Asiatic plaque. So we're gonna dialogue about
Oh yeah,
that.
definite. That's a
For sure.
definite. That's one of, and that's leading to another question. I know that album for me, the production on that and on the Nine Lives, just because of how much I worked. I know I did there's other records that I was involved in that might have been bigger, or artists that might have been bigger, but
Mhm.
we grinded and worked on those albums and those records and really participated and went out to eat and kicked it and everything else
Right.
and making those records. So I was gonna
If I'm
ask
not
you though.
mistaken, you produced Problems, right?
I did
Yeah,
Nine
yeah.
Lives out the first album on Motown. That was a record. Like we literally did those records at my crib, literally. And
Wow.
then he wound up putting it out. Him and his man put it out on a white
I
label.
remember it was like Sosa. It was
Yep.
like
He put
'cause
out
I'm in
like,
Queens,
yeah.
and my DJ homie can attest to the fact that, anything that was in the streets, like musically, it was out in Queens heavy amongst the
Yeah.
Africans, you know what I mean? So I remember it was Sosa, Save Our Streets,
Yep.
AZ.
It had a
And
joint.
it had those cuts
It had,
before he went to Motown.
it had about 4 or 5 of those records on it. The Beanie
Yeah,
Siegel record, I think, was on there. I don't give a fuck was on there.
right. I
It was a
remember
few
that.
joints on there. We did them at
Yeah.
the crib, and Dio was like, "Yo, they gonna put them out," because we was doing it with Ali. Even though Ali was signed, we was doing the records at my crib. because his paperwork took a little bit longer, Ali Vegas,
Right.
because he was a minor.
You honestly helped A come back to a major with the work you did. You deserve credit for that, bro.
Somebody tell him that. That's my man. I love him. We've been a little distant
I'm
for
giving
some
you your
years.
flowers, bro.
Tell my man that, and there you go. So that was an amazing time, and for me, that's some of the work I'm most proud of. So I say that to ask you, what's some of the records that or albums or projects you worked on that you're the most proud of?
Definitely first Smith & Wesson album, first Helter Skelter album.
Gotcha.
Fast forward, Stillmatic with Nas. I produced Destroy and Rebuild, so that was a blessing. You know what I mean?
Oh, see, that's slipped my mind. Hold up,
we learned each other a certain
hold
way.
on. I always thought Alchemist. You said Destroy and Rebuild. I always thought Alchemist did that. You did that?
Your boy.
I gotta check the credit. See, I'm slipping. I'm slipping. I gotta go check the credit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of my faves on there.
Wait, hold up.
Yes, that's one of my favorites on there, bro.
Stillmatic. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's track number 9. You know, right before the Flyers. So
Flyers. Oh my! That was another one. Shout out! I was just about to say, shout out to Les. Beat me out on the record too. I want to wrestle him, but that's my man. So we got Trackmaster lineage, so I can't even be mad at Les. He beat me out on the Black Republicans.
I got my homie DJ Mr. Effects, the legendary out of Queens, with me. Yo, Effects, come here, man. I'm gonna let my man tap in with us on this conversation.
Most def.
Super culture talk, you know what I mean? Grab a chair, bro. But yeah, man, Stillmatic, and then as far as other classics, my brain, of course, Asiatic, you know, The Essence, which I got my Grammy nomination from. And then and I could definitely shout Do Or Die too. It's the homie Chop Diesel, the legend, you know what I'm saying? DJ Sex. Matter of fact, I don't know if you're familiar with the AZ mixtapes that hit the streets some years back. Once he went independent, it was called Last of a Dying Breed. It was a series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was the one who hosted that.
Okay. Yeah, they on Apple Music and Spotify now. I think I went down a rabbit hole one day. I believe so. Wow. I went down a rabbit hole. It was I don't know. Yeah, but I think I listened to like about. Man, I don't know who put it out or who released it, but it's tons. One night I was just up going through music on Spotify, Apple Music.
Volumes. Was it 3? It's 2. Last of a Dying Breed, volumes 1 and 2. AZ. He was the one who, you know, I co-produced it with as far as developing the music.
Okay.
And the exclusives, but he hosted it, you know, produced it, marketed it. You know what I mean?
That's dope. That's dope, man. Yeah. A is still A, man. Yeah. A ain't age, bro. A just timeless. The music is still timeless. The penmanship still timeless. Yeah, it's like he ain't skipped the beat, bro. Like that's crazy.
So I could definitely say I'm proud of the Do or Die 2 album. I worked on 4 and 5, Keep It Real, and Never Enough featuring Rick Ross. So that
I was just about to say, there you go.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Shout out to my dude Prime that I mentioned earlier. He's an up and coming producer. He engineers for me. He co-produced the record with me, man. We had time putting that together. Yeah,
that's dope. That's dope, man.
Yeah, but Effects is the homie. He's one half of my Untouchables DJs brand, like I mentioned to you.
Oh yeah, you got to speak on that. You got to speak on that.
Back on my DJ kick. You know what I mean? Thanks to this guy. Oh
man,
all right.
That was in the making of years, man. You know, I just had like a little plan and things like that. See, the crazy thing about it is y'all talking about all these, you know what I'm saying, these records and things like that. Now on our side, on the DJ aspect, you know, on the DJ side of things, I was overhearing you saying that how they was Xing y'all out far as working, but far on the DJ side, y'all was Xing us out.
Well, we wasn't, but
yeah. It was y'all.
I'm gonna let him explain that.
Let me hear how you feel like. Let me hear this. Let me hear
real culture talk now. Here we go.
I'm gonna say it like this, man. So every producer, right? Most producers, y'all was basically DJs at one particular time. Like
a lot of them was, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like your Charge Your Hand and things like that, especially in crossing and going to Like he was talking about the record shop that was in Jamaica Avenue
Mhm.
and things like that. I also know Ian Ward.
Mhm.
But there was a scene in Juice.
You talking about that part with DJ Scratch and Pete Rock?
No, there was a scene in Juice when they went to the record store and they had the newspaper and how they was getting records.
Oh yeah, when they was jacking the records.
Okay, see, that was my introduction to Mr. Wall.
Oh.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
he was making him take stuff out of his paycheck, bro. You stealing records on the clock.
Well, if this is gonna be another thing. So basically,
Yeah, he gonna hit you online, like, yo, what's up,
I'm on
man?
the world on the mixtape side of things. See, and when y'all heard the terminology mixtapes back then in the 90s, artists, people in the mainstream that y'all, it was something that a lot of people looked down on. They didn't want to do that. You used to hear terminology like Biggie. I remember one time Biggie came to the Q Club with Nas, and Nas was doing a freestyle. You know, they got audio and they got also footage. But you hear Nas saying the good fudders, and they was rhyming off Keep Rising to the Top.
Queensboro classic.
Biggie said, "Yo, I know mine for free."
Yeah. That, but you can't put that on the win. I ain't seen you bring it to the producer yet.
I'm about to.
All right, okay.
So, couple of monumental records. You know, promotion days used to be what Wednesday, Thursdays and Fridays to give promos.
Promo records, yeah.
Promo records. Shout out to my guy, Top 5.
Top 5, definitely.
Yeah,
You know
I was just talking to Ty the other day, man.
I got to get Ty on here, definite.
I can't forget.
I set that up for you.
I can't forget my guy Dana, aka Rockwater. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
These are spots like he was in the legendary Hot Wax in Queens with DJ Sage, Tempest, Sa, and all that. But anyway, let me explain. So for us as DJs, getting exclusives and having good friends, and things like that. No. So all right, cool. So
I didn't want to be responsible for leaking.
So we came up with our own. We came up with our own ways of getting records. I also interned at Power Play Studio.
Gotcha.
I worked there for 2 days. They had me to take it. They had me to take a 2-inch reel.
Ah, I remember them.
The disc makers.
Wow.
Oh man.
Hopped on a train. Took a left.
Got the 2-inch.
Got it recorded. Came back. Sealed it up. Then took it.
Wow.
Get them exclusives, man. It was a different time, man.
It was definitely Renegade, bro. It was definitely a Renegade situation.
Crazy Renegade, man. Shout out to Nasheen too. Man.
Nasheen Myrick, yeah.
Yeah, these are see, I shouldn't really be shouting it out because the story behind the story.
Look, DJ Mr. Effects. After y'all see this, y'all hit him
up. Exactly.
No, but the thing is, though, man, we had to get it the way how we had to get it, man. Like, shout out to my cousin Cutmaster C.
Yes, sir.
All right.
DJ Clue. There was time where I could tell you stories, R.I.P. to B.I.G., but B.I.G. wanted to kill us.
For leaking music, yeah.
Yeah.
We had to say it like that, but I'm just saying.
I mean,
when you say you want to kill us, you got to explain why.
Nah, most definite.
You know what I'm saying? He actually wanted to kill the African guy that actually leaked
the demo.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. Did you hear the Let's Get It On with Pac?
That's what I was telling them. They gave us
No, just with Pac.
Nah, not just with him by himself, nah.
Okay, did you hear that one when Tretch was in the studio? R.I.P. the Stretch from Loud Squad.
Which record was it?
Let's Get It On. See,
not that one. No. I never heard that one.
Yeah. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Because, God forbid, if you was the one that created that record, there's several
versions of it. Nah, I tried. Listen. Let me explain something to you. I think we got the same issue, bro. I don't think your issue ain't with me. Let me tell you why.
I know.
I'm gonna tell. I know, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because everything you talking about, you was doing, we was trying to do the same thing. We was taking. I told you he had a record already with not. It was already solidified out. I said, give me the acapellas. I'm trying to beat him off the album, bro. I did my own version and put it out. Like we was on the same mission, bro. And for me, I got a weird situation because I'm a rapper that turned into a producer.
Right.
And by default, because I made, back in the day, you couldn't pay people for beats. You didn't have all of that. So it was like when I started rapping, it was like I made the music I wanted to rap to. And at that time, most groups or most artists made their own music or their DJ. So I became a producer actually by default. And I just seen that, I could do this. I could make money. I can, do what I love doing and not be in the forefront. Because I don't know for what reason why I thought I was going to be a successful rapper. And I don't even like people and being in the mix and being... So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be successful as a rapper. But as a producer, I could be behind the scenes or what have you. So I transitioned into that. And that was my thing.
So good.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I wasn't the DJ turned rapper. I love DJs. I always been trying to incorporate DJs in what I do. I went to the extent of hiring DJs to put scratches and stuff on records when I was doing records at that time because I still felt like that's a major part of hip hop. Yeah, so it's like we can't take those elements and just remove them. And I
agree.
I want a DJ to actually DJ. I like a DJ that DJs. I don't like somebody that just play records.
That's a
whole other conversation.
Yeah, you feel me? So I'm 100%. I'm hip hop to the core, bro. Trust and believe.
Yeah, I see now. This is where I get to the people that actually make the records and things like that, and and artists when they be brainstorming. And nowadays they say, well, they're gonna make a mixtape. Like for instance, Meek Mill's project that's on that Piff, but it's a mixtape.
You talking about the new one?
Yeah, but who's hosting it? There's no D. See, the thing is, what now? The term mixtape thing became so commercial with the commercialism. And once again, it's like something to push out the DJ.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I remember, back in the days, every artist had a DJ.
Yeah, that's what I said. I still believe that shit. I don't believe in, I'm so-and-so's tour DJ. No, somebody should have a DJ, a permanent DJ, not they interchangeable tour DJ. And I'm like, how that's your DJ this month? And then now 2 months later, they got a whole nother DJ. Like, nah, you need a DJ as a part of your group and a part of your movement. I've always believed in that, but
it's funny you said that because as I started building my relationship with A around the time we both worked on that album, and a little after that, by the time he went independent on Koch, he would ask me to DJ when he was doing shows. So I actually did DJ for a little while for A, touring, like all over. Then, I decided to fall back from that because sometimes being on the road.
That's another animal.
When you're on the road with someone else and it's about them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't move a certain way if I'm out of town. I got to move on their schedule. You know what I mean? So I fell back from that. And then, he had someone replace me that was one of my friend's cousins. Shout out to my man Syfe, you know what I'm saying? And then I think now DJ Doo-Wop.
Yeah.
Is now his road DJ. So, but we shouldn't even call it that, right? He should just be called.
He should be his DJ, but because they interchangeable, that's why they be it's tour DJ, the road DJ,
right.
But back in the day, Cut Creator was LL DJ.
Exactly.
Bobcat was his DJ. It wasn't you knew who they DJ was. You know what I mean? Alamo was Brand Nubian DJ. You know what I'm saying? Right. Mike Smooth was Lord Finesse DJ. It wasn't interchangeable. That's who it is. Premier and Guru. That's who it is. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
There you go. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm for that all day long. So I'm on your side. I'm an advocate for that. So if you want to start a campaign and get going, we can do that. I'm with that. I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah.
I'm all
I'll
things
make
hip
sure
hop,
y'all
bro.
follow each other after this interview.
Definite. I'm all things hip hop, bro. I love what's going on. I love the fact that, kids from the inner city and where we coming from and where we started out can take it from having nothing to being millionaires. But I also feel like I want people to do it with integrity and morals and rules and play the game fair and don't really, you ain't got to do all this extra crazy stuff, cutting people out and, like with the whole thing of just commercializing hip hop, period. That's something that's been happening since its inception. That's beyond any of us. You know what I mean? That's just what they're gonna do. If you can make money off it, they're gonna turn the dollar off it. They're not gonna care, and they can commercialize it. Whether it's the era of MC Hammer with the crazy big pants, or whatever it is, it's gonna be an era where they're gonna commercialize it and take it somewhere. Today, commercializing is deaf music and drug music and everything else, but that's their version of commercializing in it. That's what
me, I just feel like the younger generation needs to respect the architects. We need more. Man, I like what Coi Leray's doing right now.
Mm-hmm. And we got to step up. I think also people. I hear both sides of it, but I do feel like, especially that's in the world. Period. I feel like it's a certain era. I sometimes put the blame on I was born in 72. So in my era of the kids that started to come after us, that's when we started to really have the head button. Because my OGs taught us. We didn't necessarily pass on and necessarily try to teach that next generation. So they kind of lost. And that's for me where I personally can see the disconnect with them. And now trying to go back and tell somebody, it's like your father being gone your entire life and then coming back trying to tell you how to be a man.
You got a good point there.
So it's kind of hard, but I feel like we just got to keep fighting and really keep being present. And, and as far as like working with them and teaching them, because that's my mission. You've seen some of the videos and the clips I dropped. That was my real purpose, because I deal with nothing but independent artists and young artists every day. This is what I do. So I feel like I'm a servant at this point. Like I gotta help people, because if I had somebody to tell me a lot of the stuff that I tell people or the experiences I went through, I probably would have been further or wouldn't have gone through a lot of the stuff that I did go through. We was winging it. We was figuring it out as we was going.
As we went along, like I was saying earlier, right?
Yeah, so
I try my best to mentor a lot of the talent I come across, not just artists, but up-and-coming producers, engineers and things like that, and just share the jewels and the wealth. I don't force it.
There you go.
Or I lead by example.
There you go.
When they're receptive to it, that's when I share. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that's the only thing we could do to really kind of get it together, because also the type of money they touching, it's hard to get them to pay you attention, bro. You trying to talk to somebody that got $10 million in the bank and they looking at you like, yeah, but I got this 10 mil. What you talking about?
Or even if they making some garbage music and you say you could do better, they're gonna be like,
they not trying to hear that.
Rich. What are you doing? How are you gonna tell me to make better records?
Exactly. But, so I say it's a fight, but I think I'm for it. So that's my mission. With everything that I'm doing, I feel like I'm just trying to make sure that the message get out, the understanding get out, and just trying to really help and add and build and add on to whatever's going on. Because again, as I tell people all the time, I say it to my kids, your future's my past. I've been here before. Jay-Z line. Because it's the truth. If you got a personal GPS that navigates you through life, you can't really beat that. You know what I mean? I ain't saying you gotta follow everything I say to a T, but at least take the tidbits and the nuggets out of there and apply them to your life. You know what I mean?
That's kind of hard though, because saying, I remember, one of our slogans was, we just young, dumb, we don't give up. we used to embody that, like we was coming up and things like that. Like,
I'll say this: somebody somewhere, because you still here. Somebody somewhere planted a seed that it may didn't resonate or get to you at that moment, but somewhere along the line it kicked in, and that's why I say we still just gotta just do what we supposed to do on our end. And when they get it, they'll get it. Just like our kids, when they get it, they gonna get it. We didn't get it necessarily sometimes at the time either, but eventually you will. But a lot of times I see artists just like, oh, they ain't gonna listen. They hard-headed or they young. These niggas knuckleheads. I ain't about to. I kill one of these niggas, and all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like it's our duty. We gotta. We older. We know. We've been through things, and it may not be exactly what they going through, but there's no way that in our experiences and our path that we don't have good information and knowledge that we can pass on. Just sharing our experience, they should be able to grab something and take it and apply it to their life or apply it to their business and how they move forward.
Facts. Also, while we're, in the midst of this conversation, I just want to share this. I support what you're doing. I salute you for the effort you're making, using your platform to tap in with other fellow musicians in the culture. We come from that era where we all used to share the wealth. We used to put each other up on whose albums was being worked on, trying to play music. All that's gone. I've been talking about that. I miss the era when people like me, Buck Wild, Lord Finesse, Diamond, we all used to compare notes and share the wealth and, put each other up on people's projects and, play a beat for such and such. He's working on an album, that kind of stuff, man.
Exactly.
So just using the internet in my capacity, just know you're going to constantly see me supporting what you're doing with this right here, man. I salute it.
I appreciate that, my brother. And on that note, we going to wrap up, man. So let everybody know where they can get at you. If they need some music, if they need to get at you, they trying to get on, whatever the situation is, let them know. Let them know.
For sure. For me, Instagram at Baby Paul BpZy. That's BabyPaul BpZy. With me and DJ Mr. Effects as Untouchables DJs. You can follow official_Untouchables DJs. You can tell them your Instagram.
DJ Mr. Effects at Gmail. I'm about to say Gmail. on IG.
All right. You know what I'm saying? And as far as music, shout out to Monie Love, finishing up her project. It's called Love Struck. I produced 2 records that's out right now. One called Divine, featuring Marley Tuff and Sky Zoo. Song and video out now. The latest single's called One People. About to drop a reggae remix that's coming. Going to do Untouchables DJs, producer like DJ project for next year. I'm going to do an instrumental album that I actually released years ago. I'm going to re-release it called Throwback City. And I want to do a Lost Tapes project called Decades. I have a lot of unreleased music, throughout the years of our tenure.
I know that.
Exclusive remixes and cuts that never made the cut. Word. But I just got it in the archives. I'm going to distribute that on limited edition vinyl. Shout out to my network in Japan and Europe for that. And just stay tuned, man. A lot more to come, man.
All right, that's what it is, man. So I appreciate you for coming through, sharing your stories, your information, spreading the love, man. And I want y'all to stay tapped in. And most of all, don't forget to check the credits. Woo!